see what Aphelios can do and how he can navigate this composition, really.
I mean, you and I challenged Furia, just said pick smart, don't outplay yourself in the draft. And I don't know if I could say that checkbox has been filled out. We'll see. Maybe Ranger can prove us wrong. But Zinzao has been all over the Rift and CBLOL. The fact that we're not seeing him here for our fourth game of the day, the first one here for Fish and Chibi, is surprising. Again, Furia looking to be that Brazilian super team. I thought a lot of people said at the start of the year, it's Loud, Furia, Red, and everybody else. Well, the first week, Furia and Loud had to play each other. So those records, of course, kind of indicative of that as Loud picked up that win. INTZ has losses to our two undefeated teams. They'd love to turn it around, put Furia at 1-2, and put them on notice that, hey, if Zin is up, just take it, as we will get no early game shenanigans, though, here, Shibby. I think everyone just wants to play this one smart, and I think that's a good call, at least for Furia. Again, I think they're the team that needs to be risk-averse, and I like to see INTZ maybe get a bit more aggressive early game as... Hey, I mean, maybe the underdog calling there. That is a large favor for INTZ.
Yeah, and, we'll see. The fans have been right before. I think on Thursday we saw the 99% to 1% of fan vote, as both junglers will be starting on the top side, but Renekton is actually going to not leash Volibear, so they're not going to really know where Ranger is. They're not going to know where he started, and that's what you kind of have to do. These are the kind of tricks, the kind of deception, the smoke and mirrors you have to do when you're playing quote-unquote a lower tier jungler in the case of Ranger. So that first gank that he's going to get off, I almost have to say it has to guarantee a kill, if not Sum's bare minimum.
I'm curious where Ranger ganks. I mean, with the teleport changes, you don't have that ability to get a big assist in the bot lane from your mid, from your top. So I'm curious where Ranger wants to go. And of course, the Viego clearing a lot faster there than Ranger as he finally does take down those wolves. Envy takes a bit of damage, but should be able to simply just walk away here. Is so far, nothing too scary, nothing too out of the ordinary besides that, of course, Volibear pick. And we'll see, as you mentioned, Chibi, where he goes. As F&B pushing up in the top lane, doing a lot of damage. And this is a matchup I'd like to see you get F&B ahead. But ganking a Gragas is just so difficult because he's just literal meat shield of a man who can absorb everything and walk away.
Yeah, I mean, he's a meat shield. He drinks beer. I mean, this guy he avoids ganks. We saw what Wonder did in the top lane in the LEC. I mean, his ability, his passive just allows him to slightly regain some health. It can throw dives off even by the slimmest of margins. And Neturo and Redbird are going to get pushed in, and their bot lane is actually going to get, INTZ's bot lane is going to get an early back here, pick up the cull, and Now, by that item choice alone, Fish, I already see how Mikau and Decoy want to play the lane. They want to scale. They don't want no problems, and I think Furia's just not going to give them.
Oh, they have Decoy and Yampy here on the mid lane. Couple of pings go out. They think they're there. Envy's going to push forward, though. Here comes Decoy. Here comes the miss. Envy has to flash away from the gravity well, so they'll trade flash for a bit of a gank attempt. And now everyone will reset for their lane, but a good first effort. Unfortunately, I think it was given away. I think they hit the vision cone, and that's kind of why Furia had all those pings. They knew they were there.
Yeah, and that's a flash-for-flash trade, Decoy onto Envy. And if you're a kick, you're taking that every time. You're saying, yeah, that's worth Decoy. You don't need your flash for anything else. Use it in the mid lane. Get Envy off of my back. And that's essentially what they did. And that's a really good, high-pressure gank. And the level 2 support coming in, Leona, they tried to be sneaky. They tried to get the early recall off and just send them mid. Now, finally, Furia has sent their bot lane back, and we're going to see where Redbird goes. Is he just going to go straight to bot lane? Is he going to go to mid lane to apply some pressure and maybe burn his flash for Kick's flash? We'll see, as, FMB and Tyron, they're just kind of trading into the top lane, not really care. Tyron's slightly down in CS, about 10 CS here once he picks up this minion wave, but so far, so quiet.
And we've gotten resets basically across the board outside the top lane. Rangers even backed. It's only Yampy, Tyrion, and F&B that have not backed. But as I say that, Yampy's going to back by the Phage. So a very slow early game. And I mean, based on what we know about these teams, of course, it's only game number 3 of the split. But I think this favors Furia here just a little bit, Chibi, because, again, this is the team we expect to come in as the better team. I mean, you can see they have the slight gold lead, so you can see mechanically just a little bit ahead of INTZ. So if Furia plays this game, plays slow and controlled, I like their chances. I want to see INTZ make some plays. They tried in the mid lane. They got a flash. Can you secure a kill? I mean, Dragon's up, but you might as well ignore it. We don't care about that. We care about Rift Herald in just under 3 minutes here in CBLOL. That has been the target of choice for almost every single team.
Yeah, and I want to see some of these teams start stacking early dragons. You have that bot push, it looks like, with Aphelios and Thresh. Maybe just start it if you're a Ranger here, but he's actually going to go for a gank onto Kick. He's going to burn Flash for Flash here. That's what's going to happen. And hopefully they don't overcommit because Yampi's at his wolves here. What can Envy do? How can he set this gank up for Ranger?
Ranger waiting in the bush. Here comes Yampy. It's going to be a 2-on-2. Ranger's going to go in. Yampy's right there. They're going to land the stun onto Kick, and he's going to go down. It's first blood. The gravity field does get a double stun, but Yampy doesn't have the damage. He has to walk away. Ranger plays it perfectly, and Furia picks up first blood. And with Decoy backing, is this a sub-7-minute dragon, Shibby?
Uh-oh, yes, it looks like we're going to get it. They got the mid lane, so that is the key. That is how CBLOL confirms dragons. Never mind, I lied. Catch everything I said, Fish. Catch everything I said. They don't care for dragon. They don't care for anything else but kills. But Ranger's first gank with that smoke and mirrors kind of jungle start, he gets the kill onto Kick. Even though Yampy was just slightly away, there was just way too much burst coming out from Vex Volley, and that's kind of what you get. If you land all your abilities as Volley Bear, you are going to do a lot of damage. The Thunderstorm, the smash and grab, essentially, is what I like to call it. He's going to get everything as FNB. You better not die for this Scuttle. You're not a jungler.
FNB does have the Dominus, so he can simply walk away. He gets to save it as well. But again, as we talked about, Rift Herald is the first major objective for all of these teams, and getting that Rift scuttled for INTZ denies some vision for Furia when Shelly will wander onto the Rift here in about 60 seconds. Get some posturing around Dragon, but so far as you say, yeah, I love the smoke and mirrors. Ranger played it perfectly. And Envy wasn't even 6 yet. Envy didn't ult in that fight. He has used the ult at some point. Didn't get to see it, though, as we were watching the Rift Scuttle battle, as we get a stun onto Tyrant. Ranger's coming up again.
He's going to go for 2 for 2? Is he going to get the kill?
FNB wants the Empowered Sun, going to pop the Dominus, flash, body slam away. And we see the power of Gragas in the top lane. Probably even could have saved that flash, but just wanted to be careful with Rift Herald coming up. Does not want to throw that objective away for his team.
Yeah, unfortunately, Tyrant did not have his ultimate there. I believe he probably would have done that instead of burning the flash. He probably would have just E'd and then ultied and then, disengaged appropriately, but had to burn the flash there. And, Ranger, not getting the kill, but getting the flash. He's been very, very effective. Yampy now counter-jungling, taking the chickens away from him. But I don't think that matters because they're going to go for this 8-minute Herald, and they're going to be seen by the Scuttle vision here. But it looks like everybody's coming up now. Yep, this is the famed 8-minute Herald.
Oh, they're going to go right over the wall. Tyrant has to run away. Doesn't have flash this time, but the Gragas should be able to survive. They're going to go for the tower dive. And Gragas can't hold on, but that's enough to stop the Rift Herald.
Yeah, you stop the Rift Herald, but you lose so much in that top lane, and giving so much to FNB, specifically on the red end. Wait a minute.
Oh, Yampy? Redbird hits a huge hook. Now Decoy's caught out. Yampy is going to get taken out. It's Redbird who picks up the kill. Yampy goes to clear vision, but then leashes Herald. There's a ward right there that he can't see and just gets hooked by a fantastic hook there from Redbird. Not quite sure where Yampy was going on that one.
Yeah, I think he thought it was safe because they dive top lane, but you have to know, you play in CBLOL, you got to realize that probably the bot lane was coming up for that Herald. Mid lane was definitely going to be there very soon, and he just overstayed as we do get the replay here. Ranger dunking over on top of the Tribush, and they're just going to dive this fat man, turn him into blubber, send him back to the factory.
Just the CC. We talked about it with Vex and Volley. Reddington and Volley fit the same way. But let's watch Yampy here. He goes to clear the ward. Then he leashes it and just gets hit by a death sentence. He didn't know Redbird was there. Everyone else had walked away. The ult barely misses, but unfortunately, a nice route there is going to be enough to take him down. That was something else there for Yampy.
Yeah, maybe he wasn't looking at the map. He kind of leashed the Herald a little bit too, and he's like, I want to do this, never mind, and then he gets death sentence, like you said. Nobody was on that bot side of the map. Nobody was even showing mid as well, so just really, really unfortunate timing from Yampy, I guess, is the nicest way I can put it. But now everything's gone to reset. They're clearing vision. INTZ is going to take this dragon vision control, put it into the red side of Furia. But now, what are they going to do with it? They are about, 1.5 4K or 6K gold down roughly as it's fluctuating, and Ranger is on top of that volley bear pick, and we had our doubts, or at least Fish, you had your doubts, but I was just super excited to see him.
Hey, we still have to get through the rest of the game. I will say, good news for INTZ is Macau's right up there in gold. He's a decent bit behind Ranger and Envy, about 400 gold. But if there's a way back in, it's the jinx that every other region has fallen in love with, being the most, at least, gold-heavy carry right now for your team for INTZ. I mean, has the coal, and be able to sell that soon, has about even in CS with Netuno. Nobody's died down in their bot lane, though Netuno does have an assist. I think it's been pretty well played. I think the big question for me right now should be is where does this Rift Herald go? Do you use it to try and pull everyone mid so you can pick up a dragon? Do you use it to try and go top to get F&B some more plates so this protecting gets a little bit more scary? I'm really curious where Ranger wants to go, because I will say F&B, you look at the CS, he's on the verge of kind of breaking this top lane wide open. You give him first tower and some extra plates, that Renekton is a lot scarier than a Gragas who's just kind of a meat shield.
Yeah, and Ranger's kind of just chilling in the top side river here. I think he's just looking. He's trying to figure out where he wants to put this. Mid lane tower is at 4 plates, so we'll do a little bit extra damage here. And I think one thing to note from INTZ's composition is that they have a lot of terrain control kind of zoning tools, right? It's a term that if you're familiar with the FGC or fighting games, zoning is one of those things. They have the Chaos Storm, the Gravity Field, the Mist. They also have Gragas Barrel. They have so many ways to like cut you off and force you into movement options that you're not really comfortable with when you get to these dragons. So I want to see some strong objective setup from these guys, because once they get their first foot in the door, they're not going to let anybody else in.
They're trying to bully down this bot tower so that the charge from Shelly will pick them up first tower. F&B's coming down. Both top laners have teleport, but of course we're still under 14 minutes, so they can only teleport to towers. Herald will charge. They'll give the plates to that Uno, Envy, and Ranger, but they can't quite get first tower, and we'll see if they want to use this to pick a fight. F&B is here, by the way. F&B is in mid. Tyrant is still up in top lane. If Furia wants to take a fight, they have the resources. A great death sentence over the wall. Yampy will get slammed down from the top rope. Ranger's on a killing spree, and that's exactly what Furia needed to start to break this game wide open.
Death sentence is true to its name. The moment it hit Yampy, I knew he was dead. Ranger was going to come in, slam, jam, welcome, ma'am, and now Decoy.
Decoy has to solar flare, doesn't quite land the stun on the Ranger. Now he's caught out. Envy, he's going to get sandwiched. The fear will land. There's nothing Decoy can do. Macau tried to help, but quickly realized it was a lost cause.
This early game going in the favor of Furia here. Now they just have to transition, right? It's almost about a 4K gold lead for them. They're finally going to take the dragon at 13 minutes. They're going to stack it oh so nice and slow. It's going to be an Infernal Dragon here. Bot lane's going to get first turret. Netuno is going to get onto that Aphelios. He's definitely going to get all that gold, hopefully. And yeah, now you're in a power position. Yeah, a lot of your gold is onto Ranger, but you've got the scaling on Aphelios. You've got, FNB super far ahead on his Gore Drinker. Mythics are coming out on the side of Furia, and if you look on the side of INTZ, there's only one Mythic so far.
No one on INTZ has really had themselves a good game besides Macau. Macau has played the best. I mean, 129, 130 CS, 0-0-0. The only member who hasn't died again. If there's a way back in, and it's not over yet. We're only 13 minutes, 14 minutes into this game, but Furia is starting to win more and more fights. Macau needs to continue to farm, needs to continue to get ahead. They'll go for the lane swap there to put Netuno up in the top lane to get more CS for free. But INTZ's got to figure out a way to start a fight, because they just keep taking fights, Shibby, when there's no reason to take them. Decoy went in for nothing. You see the plates there, 8-1. That is a huge chunk of that gold lead for Furia.
Yeah, and that is just off the back of Ranger, right? Like just applying pressure, using the Rift Herald, just doing what he can to really just take control of this game. And yeah, you give the Viego over, and yeah, he's allowed to scale. But, I mean, if you're setting him far back, if you're setting his team far back, it doesn't matter how fed Viego is. I mean, Ranger, Envy, and Netuno can just burn through that health bar, and Ranger is super tanky right now. He went for the press the attack build, has a Divine Sunder in hand as well, and Ranger just needs to keep his pace of the game and keep, INTZ on the back foot, right? If he's being proactive, if he's making the plays, if he's diving turrets, if he's jumping into your back line, there's not much you can really do about this guy. And I think Furia just has to play their part in their roles, right? Like I said, let the talent talk and
Yes.
everything else will fall into place.
That's exactly what I was going to say, should be right. Like, these next minutes, don't get too crazy. Don't try and dive someone like Kick or dive Macau. Just move up top lane. Use your ability on an open lane to get another turret for Netuno and Ranger. Just, as you said, let the talent talk. You don't need to make flashy plays for you. It seems like, again, this is a team that we expected to be at the top of the region. Took an early loss to Loud, but now looks to be on the way back. INTZ had a tough early schedule. I mean, you take a look at who they played. I mean, they played the 2 undefeated teams and now Furia. Let's see if Furia can end this game out. Of course, we get our second Rift Herald. We already know the dance is starting. Everybody is there except Macau, but he's up in the top lane. F&B has the Unleash teleport, but doesn't have it off cooldown. So I think we're going to get a big fight over this Rift Herald here in any second, Chibi. And I think INTZs can't really afford to take a fight. Macau knows that. Macau doesn't even want to rotate down for this Rift Herald dance. He's just like, look, let me CS. Just hand it over to Ranger, please.
Yeah, if INTZ is playing this right? You correctly identified their win condition or quota win comeback condition here, and the fact that if Jinx can get resets, if she could just start peppering your backline down during these fights and just get a reset off, she can really do some damage. And Jinx is one of those characters that was, hasn't been picked up too much in CBLOL, and I have a scary feeling if this game doesn't go INTZ's way, they may never pick up Jinx again, and a lot of CBLOL will just confirm their bias. Like, oh yeah, I see Jinx is really bad. I don't even know what it does. But this was, the early game was kind of a Ranger show, and INTZ just weren't able to answer it. And now we're getting into this mid game. Dragon is coming up about a minute and a half. They're going to hopefully set that up on Furia's side here. And now where does this Rift Herald go? Are they going to crack mid open when the Dragon comes up? The classic distraction Herald play where you throw it mid and you go to Dragon, you got to force somebody to answer that? Or are they going to keep it for like one of those kind of really huge, I wouldn't say game-ending pushes, but like game-crippling pushes where they ace the team and it's like, oh wait, we also have a Herald in our back pocket and we can just take 2-3 turrets, possibly or inhib if we want to.
60-second Swords Dragon. I'm leaning your way, Shibby. I feel like this is a drop it mid with about 15-20 seconds on the Dragon spawn. They're actually just going to drop it mid now. They might go for this game-crippling fight before the second Dragon even spawns. F&B and Ranger are on the back line. Tyrion and Decoy are going to walk into him, though, so that is going to give away the attempted bait play. They wanted to squeeze him on the tower. Heraldina will get the second charge, and she'll get one more here as well, so that will crack mid, but that still leaves the Dragon contest open for INTZ. I think Furia could have waited, done the exact same thing, and got this Dragon for free, but now INTZ has a way in. Allegedly, because Kick's up in the top lane, the teleport will come off about the time Dragon spawns, but I don't know if INTZ actually wants to even contest this.
Yeah, Dragon contest is on the menu, but I don't think INTZ can afford it right now, as Netuno has the red and white guns, and red and white means don't fight, so I would not even go into that as Kick. But pushing that top lane, getting that turret, getting some gold for his team. I don't believe the objective bounties have in yet, so we are going to still see just regular turret gold, regular play gold, but now Tier 2 in the mid, Tier 2 in the bot lane, all taken out. You have to expect Furia to set this vision up. Ranger's just going to solo this by himself. That looks like the Hextech Dragon as well.
Yep.
So we might get an Ocean Drake, a Mountain Soul, an Ocean Soul, Mountain Soul, or even a Cloud Soul here. But yeah, they're just scaling. They're taking the game nice and slow. Furia is doing their due diligence. They're beating INTZ systematically with their gold lead. They're not going for anything flashy like we said, and it's looking grimmer and grimmer for INTZ.
It is a Cloud Soul, which is probably the response. I mean, I think Cloud Soul still has a lot of merits, but it's definitely not Mountain Soul. It's not Ocean Soul, and especially if you're INTZ. Again, you're a long ways away. You needed 4 dragons, but Ocean Soul and Mountain Soul kind of fit that win comeback strategy where if you're able to somehow pick up a couple of Ocean Dragons, get an Ocean Soul, that makes your fighting a little easier. Same with Mountain Soul with that shield. Cloud Soul makes this comeback for INTZ just a bit harder. Baron's up in 30. We'll see if Furia wants to press their luck here. Death Sentence does miss from Redbird. That will be a disengage. Ranger kind of caught out there, takes a poke, but will lantern to safety, and I think everyone's going to walk away.
Yeah, I think Ranger's going the man mode build, right? Divine Sunderer, Zonya's Hourglass, best attack. He's going for the I'm going to slam, jam onto you, and you're going to die because you're either going to get killed by my W or you're going to get killed by my E here. And I love that build. I don't, full tank volley, I don't think it's really needed at this point. He's 4-0, he's feeling himself, and I like the fact that he can kind of provide for himself, I would say, right? Provide the damage himself, doesn't really need to rely on Envy and Nintendo here if he gets a pick, if he catches out Macau, or even Kick by themselves.
Oh, Death Sentence barely misses Kick. You see that gold lead now up to 6.5K.
A lot of blue.
In favor of Furia. Yeah, that bar has been blue the whole day for Furia. And you saw in that fight where they were looking at Baroness, we're going to go up to the top side of the map. Moonlight Vigil is going to land onto Macau, but not enough damage. Gets the root. Now they're going to go in. Decoy flashes away. A great Death Sentence onto Yampy. He's going to get caught in the gravity well. Also has the flash. But here comes F&B with the Dominus. He'll simply walk away, and they just force INTZ to give up that tier 2 top lane tower. And they go for the reset. Do they want to force Baron? The objective bounties are now up, so a team fight win can give INTZ a huge chunk of gold. Furia plays that right. They just poke him down and say, we're taking this tower. We don't really care what you do.
Yeah, I'm adjusting my glasses, scratching my eyes. This is a really clean game from CBLOL in general, and specifically Furia. They're going through the right flowchart. They're going through the steps. I assume they're going to reset, set their vision up onto that top side of INTZ. They're going to pink everything out, and they're going to start Baron, peel off of it, start Baron, peel off of it, finally forcing INTZ to get into a fight. And they might go for this flawless or near flawless game, as INTZ did pick up one turret in that top.
Now's your chance, if you're Macau, to get your team back into it. 200 CS on the Jinx, has not gotten any kill participation or even died in a fight. It's played very, very passive. As you said, Shibby, if this Jinx doesn't work, it could be the death sentence for her as a champion in CBLOL. She's been avoided almost by every team. The fact she got picked was shocking to you and I, and it's been played about as well as possible. I mean, look at the damage Macau's doing, but now he might get caught out here. Yeah, he has to flash away, and Neduno's going to There's Ranger on the other side, by the way. He sees Yampy. He's going to Stormbringer right over the red buff. Yampy, you're dead as well. The death sentence won't land. That'll hurt the accuracy. The Moonlight Vigil won't make it in time before he dies. That is a free Baron and Macau. He tried. He heard my call, Shibby, but it was too little too late, especially against Neduno, who's just as fed on that affiliate.
Yeah, I don't know what voodoo you've been practicing, Fish, but right as you were praising him, he just goes, you know what? Actually, never mind, Fish. I'm not playing safe. Goes to fight the Aphelios on his red and white guns. Probably the worst guns you can fight him on. And then the fact that, you know, Redbird also had the Shirelia's intel, I mean, that just allows Aphelios to chase Jinx down. And yeah, Baron gets picked up. 43 to 33. That's a 10K gold lead on the side of Furia. They're probably going to pick up this Cloud Dragon on their way up into pushing these tier 3 turrets. And I expect just a standard 1-4, really. I mean, you send Renekton into the top lane or the bot lane, go in as 4 onto the mid or bot lane, and just really force INTZ to make decisions that they're just uncomfortable with.
Game is... Well, it's been slipping out of INTZ's grasp since really about the first 10 minutes, but they're barely hanging on to it now. As you said, a 10K gold deficit. We're only 23 minutes into the game. Yampy, what are you doing here? They're going to try and dive onto Redbird. They're not quite going to be able to land on. Here's F&B with the Dominus on the back line. He gets caught out as well, though. Shadow Search, remember, he's going to go in. There's the Fiddlestick Sphere you were talking about. Destroys the team for Envy. There's nothing left. It's only Kick. Who needs third dragon when you can win the game? The Vex proves to be the game winner with the Shadow Surge. Everybody scatters. F&B looking for one more kill. They'll be able to find it. It's the ace, and that should be GG, Shibby, here for Furia. They did exactly what we asked. They played smart. Ranger making me look like an idiot on the volley bear, and they get the near perfect game, only losing a turret in a 25-minute stomp here of INTZ.
And I'm so excited because this volley bear pick means that I'm pretty sure other teams will start picking up. They're going to look at Furia and be like, wait a second, as they're actually not going to go for the end here. They're not going to force it. They're going to back out with the golds in their pockets, heavy-handed, going to cash it out most likely. And, maybe they'll pick up this Cloud Drake actually on their way out. No, they're just going to back. They're going to take it slow, nice and easy. They're probably going to go for one more fight. I don't think they're padding the stats. I think they're playing very, very clinical. And it's really, really refreshing to see from Furia.
I 100% agree with you. Could they have ended it? Yeah. I mean, we saw what happened to Renzga last week when they tried to end it and ended up giving up a pentakill. But I think you're right. They're not trying to pad the stats. They're just saying, look, we can win this game in one more fight with Baron, without Baron. We can win this over Cloud Drake if we want to. This would put him on sole point. And FNB is just going to dive right on top of Decoy, get the stun. Here comes Envy. The Everfrost is going to land. It's going to be overkill onto Leona. At least they got 2 ults out.
Oh, is he going to go back in? Envy's not going to go back in. No, he's not that crazy. He doesn't even have the fear up, so couldn't get that crazy fear that he did in the last fight. But actually, they're just going to take the pick on Leona and not pick up the Cloud Dragon as well. They don't care. That game's pretty much over. They still got some time on there. Baron going to pick up that second inhibitor turret into the bot lane, walk the filet mignons in, and possibly kill this Nexus turret.
Nearly 5,000 gold on the Baron power play. We'll see if we get one last fight here. They're going to force the stopwatch out from Kick. Ranger's going to have to stopwatch there as well. First Nexus turret will go down. Who are they going to focus? Super Mega Death Rocket doesn't even get Naruno to half.
How?
Yampy now chasing. Yampy is going to just eliminate him with help from Envy. Meanwhile, everyone's trying to kill FNB. It's a 1v3 onto the Renekton. Finally, he'll look to dive onto Macau. But with the Nexus just taking damage, I think the rest of them realize that Naruno does. He's going to go to just end the game. They'll get the kill onto FNB, but it won't matter. So they give up 2 kills.